Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be doing a backfill on my client. Now, I've talked about what I refer to as a backfill, and it can get a little confusing, so I'm going to go over it again since I am doing it in this video. So a backfill, to me, essentially, I use that term just to make life a little bit easier and to differentiate it from a regular fill. So a backfill is pretty much referred to as when you file down a French nail and you pretty much get it nice and thin to where you can bring back up the white portion of that French design. So I just ended up using that term universally for any nail that I'm going to have to fully thin out and then go in with a new set of acrylic powders. So that probably should help kind of explain it a little bit. And to me, a regular fill is just whenever you infill the growth with the exact same color. So you're pretty much just infilling the portion that has grown out and you're not having to overfile or remove like the entire nail pretty much to go in with a new color. So hopefully that helps a little bit to understand what I'm talking about whenever I say a backfill. So since we're going to be doing this on my lovely client, I do have my Efile at a speed of 11,000 RPMs. I'm using, I would say, medium amount of pressure on my handpiece, and I am using the 5-in-1 bit in medium grit. I absolutely adore these bits. I talk about them very passionately because I do think that they are a must in a nail tech's products of just essentials that you need to perform a nail set. Now, I know a lot of you might be wondering like exactly what all you can use the bit for. So I use it pretty much for everything when it comes to removing a design. If I need to do a fill, removing lifting, removing the entire acrylic off of the nail. And then you could also use it to finish files. So you're going to smooth out that nail nicely at the end. And it also helps to seal the cuticle as well. I love that it is nice and tapered at the tip. So it's nice and thin that you'll be able to get into that cuticle area, which can be pretty hard if you have a regular bit. Once you're a master at filing, that shouldn't be an issue, but I know especially as a beginner nail tech, it can be a little intimidating to get into that area. These are safety bits, so you will not cut a client. If you do apply a lot of pressure and you do have it at a high speed, you can absolutely cause a little bit of discomfort by accidentally like burning the client with it. But as long as you stay on the acrylic and pull back the skin, you should be good to go. So definitely a must in my books. I absolutely adore these bits. Now, when it comes to backfilling, I always do recommend that you pay attention to your bits. So if you notice that you're having to apply a little bit more pressure when you are doing the process, 100% it is time to replace your bits. So always make sure you are paying attention to that and you have bits ready to go, right, restocked, so that you don't have to worry about ordering and waiting for that time in between until you get a new one. So I always like to keep about 4 of them on hand. That way, if I do feel like I'm straining my hand a little bit too much, I could just grab and go, and then you won't be hurting yourself while you're doing the process. So it can be a little bit tiring if you don't have a new bit. So make sure you guys are paying attention to that. So I'm pretty much just moving across the entire nail throughout the entire process, making sure that I am not staying in one spot for very long. That can cause a lot of heat spike and it is very painful and very uncomfortable. So make sure that you guys are moving across the nail. Move from the top to the bottom, from the right to the left, center to the top, to the whatever other side, just as long as you're not staying in that same spot. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish that process, and then we're going to be prepping the natural nail for the new product that's going to be going on the nail. I'm going to be going in and bringing down the length just a little bit. She does really love the almond chip, so I'm glad that we're staying with that. And I'm just gonna start off by filing on one side, bringing in the sides, because as you know, an almond shape, once it starts growing out, the width of your natural nail will start to grow out as well. So then I want to make sure that I thin it back out and create that same shape that I had originally done. So that's essentially what I'm doing. And then I'm just going in lightly at the tip to round it back out and make sure that I'm not over filing it. So that's kind of just how I like to do it versus just trimming it down and then struggling with getting the shape right. I just kind of go in and do the shape all over again while trimming it down at the same time. Hopefully that makes sense.
Presentando la vibración tropical colombiana. Hoy le queremos dar para el perro, para la perra, para el abuelo, para la abuela, para toda la gente que quiere bailar. ¿Cuál es el punto? El asunto está corrupto. Vida dedicado al falso contaminado, encaminado a lo campo minado. Seres que gobiernan y controlan nuestra tierra hipnotizado. Con su juego mental limitando nuestro potencial como ser humano, no dejando que lleguemos, no quieren que seamos, quieren mantenernos controlados. Babilón, ¿qué pasó? Los que tienen el poder, tienen el futuro en su mano, el mundo que está cambiando. ¿Acaso el humano será capaz de cambiar el microchip que le han implantado? Baila muchachita, baila muchachito, baila abuelo, baila abuelita, cambia tu ritmo, maravilla.
I'm going to be going in with my Mandrel bit from Profiles Backstage and a sanding mat from Profiles Backstage as well. I'm using the purple ones, as you can see, in medium grit. I'm going to be going in and just buffing off the shine from the natural nail. This is key to roughen up that surface so that everything sticks properly. And then I'm also going to be removing any lifted area that I may have missed with my 5-in-1 bit. It can be a little bit tricky to fully remove it with the 5-in-1 bit because we don't want to overfile accidentally on the natural nail. I feel like no matter how hard you try to stay on top of the acrylic, it could get a little bit scary, and so I just prefer to leave it alone and go in with my Mandrel bit, as it is not as harsh and coarse as a 5-in-1 bit.
Como le gusta.
I'm going in with the needle bit from Profiles Backstage. This is going to help remove any excess dead skin right up in the cuticle area. Sometimes because the Mandrel bit is nice and thick, it's not going to get into those hard to reach areas. So we're going in with this super thin one to easily remove that. And you can see that it is actually bringing up a lot. So if you have lifting issues, try to implement this into your process, and hopefully that will help as well. Along with all the other prep stuff, make sure you're doing it as thoroughly to try to get it to its maximum potential. So I'm going to be going in and just finishing off of that. I'm not going to be doing any cuticle ball bit process in this because she doesn't really have any cuticle to be trimmed down or buffed down. So I'm just going to bypass that, and we're going to be going into cleaning the surface with a lint-free wipe and a little bit of young nail swipe. This is going to help remove any excess dead skin, just dehydrate all of that oil that our natural nail produces, and just clean the whole surface so that we can get a good adhesion. Now I'm going to be going in with the acrylic primer from Kiara Sky. This has been my go-to. It is like a gel consistency, so always make sure that you are using extremely thin layers. Otherwise, it can be a little bit too much. I've had it happen before where the acrylic kind of just blobs around it. So make sure, nice and thin layers. Try to bring the bulk of the product down into the existing acrylic versus having it bunch up at the cuticle area. Now we're gonna be doing a super cute Halloween set. So I'm actually gonna be using black. And for this, I am protecting her natural nail with a layer of clear acrylic. That way I don't have to struggle to remove it. I'm pretty good at covering really dark colors, but since it is on her natural nail, I wanna make sure that I protect it from it actually getting stained. So I'm gonna be going in with that very thin layer of clear, and then I'm gonna go directly back in with the black acrylic from Not Polish. I love this black. It's super blendable, very easy to use, and it's not super messy like all the other black acrylics I would typically use. They get everywhere and they stain everything. So I definitely really like this, and as long as you're wiping your brush on your paper towel, adding a little bit more monomer and then wiping it again, your monomer shouldn't get contaminated at all. You can see that I'm going in now with nude, right in the same monomer that I already used, and it is not black at all whatsoever. So now I'm gonna be going in with Light Sand from Not Polish. It's like a peachy, really pretty nude color. And I'm gonna be using that for the nude nails. I'm just going in with my regular acrylic application, keeping it nice and simple, nice and thin. Since her nails are on the shorter side, I can absolutely do that without having to build up the apex at all. But I wanna make sure that I am applying it nice and evenly. Now we're gonna be doing a nude to black ombre using acrylic. My tip to you to perfect this is to just use gel. I am not even kidding. It's probably gonna be the better route to perfect a nude to black ombre. However, I'm gonna be doing it with acrylic. My client has mentioned multiple times where she prefers her design to be done with acrylic, so I'm not even gonna try to do it with gel polish, just to eliminate the whole likeliness of it chipping off or anything like that. So I'm just going to bypass the gel option, and we're going to be using it with acrylic. I always mention when I do ombre to use thin layers. That's gonna be key. So if you mess up, you don't have to be concerned about it getting too thick, because you can just go right back in and add a little bit more to perfect it. Now, I'm not quite sure why I didn't go right in with the nude. I think I just had a brain fart in that moment. But you can see that I added the black tip. I pretty much made it super thin, and I blended it upwards towards the middle so that when I go in with my nude color, it can blend a little bit more seamless. I highly recommend to go in directly with the nude color. That way it's still a little bit wet, so they blend a little bit easier. Like I mentioned, have no idea why I just skipped it. I'm gonna be taking that same nude and we're gonna be creating that ombre. And I'm just kind of adding in one very small bead in the middle section and then quickly blending it downwards. Like I said, do it right after you put the black. That way they can blend a lot easier. I'm just gonna try to pretty much blend it out as best as possible, since I forgot that step. I did do it correctly on the other hand, and it worked just perfectly. Way easier, and the blend was a lot better. So again, I will show you guys different options of doing that. There's always ombre gel as well. You can use those little sponges, which I've been meaning to use, which I will definitely make it a point to include in one of my videos because it's just such an easy process. So I'll definitely show you guys that as well. But I like to make my life a little bit complicated sometimes. So here we are struggling a little bit.
All I see is blessings. Got no time for stressing. Don't believe in failures in my life. It's only
I'm going to be going in with clear acrylic and we're going to be encapsulating these nails, especially the black nails and the ombre one. The nude one I'm going to go ahead and leave as it is. It does not need clear acrylic because the nude acrylic itself is nice and strong. The reason why we add clear acrylic is one, to save a little bit of money because I do believe in saving product and I always use very thin layers, but for these specific nails, because the pigment portion in the acrylic mix is so strong and very vibrant, you want to make sure you add the strength back in with that clear acrylic. And then on the ombre nail, you want to make sure that you are protecting that ombre blend so that when you go in and file, you do not file that off. Once everything is nice and dry, we're going to be going in back with our 5-in-1 bit. I have my Efile at a speed of 10,000 RPMs and I'm going to lightly file around that cuticle area, making sure that it is nice and flush. And I'm going to go in very quickly to file the rest of the nail so that everything is nice and smooth.
Takes us all night, no matter what the odds may bring our way. I can see the blessings coming our way, yeah, yeah, yeah. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way, our way, our way. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way. I can see the blessings, I can feel your presence. Leaning on the change in my heart for your endeavors. I pray I'm your reflection, I fiend for your correction. The cross brought the connection and through Jesus is perfection. Life done hit me crazy, been more stressed than ever. Living like whatever, through the rain I feel you drawing closer. Lord make me better, take me, shape me, use me, I am yours. Take me, break me for the glory of the Lord. Okay, not only does he hold me when I'm down and feel I'm folding, he my coach when I'm the goalie, never lonely. Got that hope in he who holy, holy, holy. Keep that rugged cross all on me, need that spirit to control me. Seek that word to come and mold me, yeah. It's like I can feel the blessings coming my way, yeah. It's like I can feel the blessings coming my way. I know that we all gonna be alright. We gon' make it through if it takes us all night. No matter what the odds may bring our way. I can see the blessings coming our way, yeah. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way, our way, our way. Blessings on blessings, yeah. I can see the blessings coming our way, yeah.
It's too late now to turn around and back again. I made my bed and now I lay my head in it. And I'm sorry I'm not perfect, but I knew that I wouldn't be. I guess it's for the best, you know the worst in me. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. And I feel misunderstood, cause I'm trying hard to love. I'm sorry, my actions, they haunt me, and I'll never live it down. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. You call my bluff, I won't pick
I'm going in with my hand file and I'm going to be filing the shape all over again. Even though I already pre-shaped them, I want to make sure that I am thinning them back out now that I have added the layers of acrylic. And then I'm going underneath as well to round off that tip, and just to make sure that I don't have any acrylic stuck underneath as well. I'll like run my finger without really realizing it under the nail just to make sure that everything is super smooth and that I don't have to go in and file. And if I do feel any type of little like ridges or anything like that, you can just flip the hand around and file that from the underneath. I'm going in and buffing the surface with the sponge buffer from Profiles Backstage, making sure everything is nice and smooth. And then we're going to be going in with some fun nail art.
Wanting down a second chance, I'm too selfish for that. I let you fall again, now that you know that I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. And I feel misunderstood, cause I'm trying hard to love.
Now we're cleaning the surface of the nail with the lint-free wipe and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe. You can always have your client go wash their hands. I just feel like that process just takes forever and I want to go. So I'm going to go in and just clean it very quickly using that wipe and Young Nail Swipe. If you don't have that, you can always just use alcohol as well. Now, when I did this set of nails, it was a Monday, so we're just going to be using that as an excuse. But I am always super transparent with you guys, so if something doesn't work, I'm going to be fully 100% real with you guys so that you can learn from my mistakes, and honestly, we learn together. She requested a smoky design on the index finger, and I had another brain fart and didn't think to use blooming gel with white. I don't know why, but I just didn't think about that. It just wasn't an option in my brain when I was doing the nail. So I went in with frosting paint from Profiles Backstage. It is their white gel paint, 100% love it. However, it is too thick and it was almost a little bit chalky for whatever reason once I added the alcohol to dilute it. So it sucked. The design that I did was terrible. So I went ahead and wiped it off. And then I went in with the Profiles Backstage Gel Art Liner. So it's a lot thinner of a formula and it was so much easier to work. I went ahead and you saw me kind of apply it on there. Now I'm taking a gel brush from Makartt. It's one of their Polygel brushes. And I have a little bit of Young Nail Swipe on my brush. And I'm going to be using that to kind of like smoke it out, dilute it, and make it look like that marbleized, smoky type of vibe. And it definitely worked a lot better. I know it looks kind of messy right there, but once you add the top coat, it kind of brings in all of the lighter, the darker tones and everything like that. And it looks a lot more blended, as you'll see at the end. So definitely glad that I thought about it afterwards. So if you guys are going to try to do it, just use blooming gel with a little bit of white gel liner, and that should be so much easier for you to create that smoke type of effect. But again, it was a Monday and we're using that. We're going with it. Now for the middle finger, we're going to be doing a simple spider web using the black gel art liner from Profiles Backstage as well. And actually for my nail art brush today, I am changing it up and I'm using the detail liner brushes from Not Polish. Their liners are super good. I really like them, especially like the longer ones. The bristles are super soft, so everything just glides nicely in comparison to other ones that I've used that have longer bristles. That's why for the most part I prefer to use the shorter length ones from like my Makartt ones, but not with these. They're super smooth. You saw how easily I did that one line for the spider web and I just glided it down and it worked so easily. And then I was very easily able to create those little curved lines as well for the spider web type of effect. So definitely recommend these. They are a little bit more on the pricier side, but is it worth it? Absolutely. It has dual ends to it. So this right here is the long side, and then the opposite side of the brush has a shorter one. So it's nice and versatile because you have 2-in-1 brush. And it's nice also when you're using different colors to do different parts of the nail art. I actually ended up using the shorter side for the white parts that I'm going to be doing, and it was just easy not to have to wipe it off or grab another brush. It's just right there. You just flip it around and you're good to go. Now you'll see me kind of wiping little areas off throughout the video while I'm doing the designs. I always use just a cleanup brush, or I've been using a lot that gel brush that I mentioned earlier with a little bit of Young Nail Swipe, a very, very small amount just so that it glides easily and it wipes it off. Very important, just a very small amount, otherwise it's gonna create that like marble effect that I did on the ring finger. So for this one, we're gonna be doing kind of like a line design, and then we're gonna be adding spider webs in between just to do something a little bit different. She did bring an inspo photo in, so we are kind of going off of that and just recreating the same vibe off of the design that she brought in. So we're gonna be doing those tiny little spider webs, and you can see that I'm using that same brush, and it's just super easy to get those very, very thin layers, and I didn't struggle at all to do this, so definitely recommend it. Always, always, always stabilize your brush with your pinky. And as you can see, I'm using the opposite side of that brush to do the white portion like I mentioned. And I, again, don't know why I was struggling today when I was doing this set, but I really did. I don't always have really good days, as you guys always believe that I do everything flawlessly. I, in fact, do not. You can see that this triangle is all wide and not pointed, so I'm going in and just cleaning it up very quickly to perfect that. Sometimes I could get it done good, but it was just an off day, okay? And I feel like a lot of the time you guys are hard on yourselves. I promise you, I struggle as well. So I always like to include that into my videos as a little motivation that you guys can do it if I can too. Now always remember to cure in between layers. I am going to be doing like a layered effect with the white and black, so I made sure that I cured my black layer, and now I'm going in with the white little details and adding more white pops into that nail. And I'm pretty much just gonna let you guys kind of see this because it is pretty much just line work. Make sure you hold your brush as steady as possible. Stabilize your hand with your pinky, grip that finger, and make sure you are holding it nice and steady. Now once everything is fully cured, you want to go in and add a top coat. Since she is a hair stylist, we're going to be doing the stain resistant top coat from Young Nails. It is my go-to for anyone that is prone to getting stains, or if you have a smoker. I 100% recommend this top coat. It works so freaking good. And if you like to do your white toes, make sure you add that on there as well so they do not get crusty. It does have a tacky layer, and I mention this in every single video that I use it. But we're good. We're not going to be petty about that because it works amazing. So thin layer, making sure you're rubbing it fully into all of the nail art. And then we're going to be curing it in the light for a full 60 seconds. I like to do 2 rounds just to make sure that it is fully cured. Or sometimes I'll just go in with the 90-second option on my LED light. And then once we are out of the light, I'm going in again with the lint-free wipe and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe, cleaning the entire surface and her skin. And then I'm going to be going in with some cuticle oil and just lathering that up. This is Sweet V from Profiles Backstage. It is my exclusive scent, so make sure you guys check it out as well if you guys love cuticle oils. And that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a ton. And I'll see you guys next time.